So, what are we calling it? Funnel of Love. And it's really a follow on from last week with the ladder of loyalty. I might even chuck that here as a reminder. Okay, how many can you remember?
Shop. Oh no.
Close.
Shopper's second.
Shopper.
Prospective or target?
Yeah. Either work. So we'll go target. So for us, anyone with an injury or lives in the local area.
Yeah.
We haven't narrowed it down too much more than that. Shopper, they've booked an appointment.
Client? What was that?
Yeah, actually, I think I've stuffed up there. I think Shopper might be there. Yep. Where's my little white? So, prospect is after they've booked an appointment. But they haven't come in yet.
Yep.
Shopper is once they're in the building. They're sussing us out.
Yep.
And then they've come to an appointment and they've liked the plan that we've laid out and they've come back for a second appointment and they become a client. So we're working our way up and then we get to
there's member and raving fan. There's another one.
member was the next one. Yep.
That's the next one.
And that's the My Physio.
Oh yep.
My Physio section.
Ben's
So,
my physio.
yeah, they identify you. They're pretty content. They won't go elsewhere as long as you've got an appointment available. And then before the raving fan, we had advocate. So they're the ones telling people that we're the place to go, we're the best. We'll sort out their problems.
Yeah.
Some people will only reach there based on their personality type. It's a rare few that get to the raving fan status where they're singing it from the rooftops. That you have to go and see the guys at Allied Physiotherapy. So yeah, that's working our way up the ladder of loyalty and target people out there that haven't heard about us yet. Prospect, they've received our marketing channels or our messages out there in the community, all those different channels that we've talked about. And then Shopper, they've booked an appointment, they've come in, they've had an appointment with us and they've sussed us out. Getting from there to there's a big step. So they've progressed up to becoming a client and going to follow through with at least part of the treatment plan. Member, advocate, raving fan. So I won't get too much more about that, but it's kind of relates to what we'll now talk about more, which is get a nice big open funnel of love. Alright. So again, when we talk about the target side of things, people are out there in the community getting around. We put in our efforts with the different marketing channels such as say signage. What else did we say last week? Our website, so online, a big one. We've got community referrals, so key community members or people of influence in the community that we've got relationships with, run club, etc. Got professional referrals, again, we put a lot of effort into nurturing this side of things, and these referrals are by far the most powerful because word of mouth from clients, because it can mean that if they're coming through these channels, they might already be up to somewhere around here on the ladder of loyalty side of things, and their buy into the treatment plan and their successful navigation of the treatment plan is more likely to occur. So people enter this funnel of love by all these different channels, and when we're appreciating the journey that a patient goes on with us, it's worth even going back to before this point. So when they are in the target category, something has to trigger their interest in looking for help. So it's either an incident, can be I'm running out of ink already, can be a one-off incident, take a sporting injury or a motor vehicle accident. That'll happen quite suddenly, and the time taken from that incident to seeking help could be really quite short, but in other cases it could be a really gradual onset, so more insidious, and they might have been dealing with pain or disability for a really long time before they get to us, or before they even start to look around for help. So just having an appreciation for that journey that they've been through even before they've rocked up at our door is important. And then when we get into our funnel of love, we can break this up into our three phases, our clinical phases or our rehab phases, if you like. So I've done this before with the funnel, using this same, breaking it up into this same thing, inverted, where we go advocate, prospect, shopper, and work our way down. But in this case, I'm going to tackle it from more of a clinical perspective and reiterate our management plan phases that we've talked about. So we'll go with phase 1, which we've given a few names. Do you want to reel off a few?
The healing phase,
Nice.
the acute phase, the calm shit down phase.
Yes, good. Yeah. Calm shit down. Nice. Yeah. Pain phase, calm shit down phase, healing phase. Great. And this is where they kind of sit with the target, prospect, shopper, client phase. So we're dealing with their pain state, or their rawness of their injury or disability or whatever they've brought in. And then we'll go into phase 2. Actually, I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip down to the end here for a moment and explore what an ideal outcome would look like. So these are the ones that successfully navigate a foot. I think it's just I've got to hold it.
Oh,
Hold it up. When I tip it up that way, it's working okay.
yes, the
ideal outcome, from more of a not like, yes, the ideal outcome is a raving fan for sure. When we're talking from, say, a business sense, but when we're talking from a clinical sense, what are the things that encapsulate an ideal outcome?
Really, ideally, you've at least met their expectation or exceeded it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Like sometimes that'll be a really long-term goal, but sometimes for a person it might actually just be like a short-term fix, and then they know what to do from there.
Yeah. So that can be varied. Yeah. Good. And how how do you determine what those goals are between, say, a short-term fix and let them go versus a long-term?
Even from taking their history anyway, like get an idea of what they normally are like, and what they are now, so you can see how far away they are from that.
Yeah.
Like if they're an athlete and they're injured, or if they're pretty close to like their normal, you got a bit of an idea of how far away they are from that,
Yeah.
and therefore maybe how long it's going to take to get them there.
Yeah.
What else? You could be pretty just straight to the point as well, and probably do jump on that opportunity if you get it, to just ask what their expectation is from coming to see me as a physio.
Classic early question. Yeah.
And see what they say.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think a point to raise in that one is sometimes people don't know what they don't know, so they might have an expectation that they just want one appointment and to gather as much information as possible from that one appointment, and then off they go, and perhaps have unrealistic expectations of what's required to get them a more ideal outcome. So sometimes there's education involved in being able to achieve a true ideal outcome, because whilst their expectations of their engagement with you may be, I'm just going to go to the physio and figure out what I have to do from one appointment and then off I go, it's potentially an unrealistic expectation for a lot of people. Some people it might work, depending on the condition that they present with, but for a lot of times that's an unrealistic expectation to achieve or to extract as much value out of what we can provide. So having education, educating clients to what an ideal outcome could possibly look like, if they were to alter their expectations of how they engage us going forward. But yeah, it's always varied, it's always nuanced. So yeah, I'll just throw one in. So out of pain, not everyone's in pain, but a lot are. So out of pain, any just simple ones like that you can think of.
Yep. Back to work.
Yep. Good. Well, sport.
Yep.
Good.
Maybe certain achievements in their sport, like a certain run or a certain event.
Reach goals. Goals set along the way, so they could be rehab goals as well as sporting goals. Yeah.
Just like ADLs, goals.
Yeah. Again, varied. But that's definitely an ideal outcome. And part of the management plan set up early days is you lay them out and hopefully tick them off. Beautiful. Just throw in there perhaps
prevent recurrence or reduce risk of injury.
Let's go with bulletproofed.
Yes. I see what you mean now. Like their expectation might be just the top one, like I just want to get out of pain.
Yeah.
And we know that we can do the rest of those things, but they might not know that we can actually help with that.
Yeah, and again, you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. So, and we don't want to over-service, but we also want to let them know that the scope of our service also extends to all of these things.
Right.
And it's not for everyone, but for some it might be for them, but they just don't know it. So we present it in different ways, we communicate it in different ways, and it means they can extract more value from us. So bulletproofed or prevention, and extending on that is really the optimization, optimized health. We'll go a bit more specific. Musk health.
Yeah.
So let's venture down here, and do you remember our phase 2 terminology?
Like rebuilding
Yeah,
phase.
yeah. Gonna go with the allied physio one, which is growth, but it's rebuilding is the pretty much the same synonym for it.
Yeah.
Or even strengthening phase. So they've come through the acute, or subacute is probably another one that you can use in there. They're out of pain. They feel like they could potentially just walk from there and get on with life and hope for the best. Once you've got them through here, and I'll just draw parallels here again. So targets in, well, actually it probably starts at shopper. Shopper gets in here, and client often get in here because it usually takes a couple of sessions to get them through this phase. So we might incorporate shopper and client in this healing phase. But then to successfully navigate them through the growth, rebuilding, subacute phase, which will kind of tick off at least a few of their goals, start to address the bulletproof side of things, or at least mitigate risk of relapse, recurrence. We're getting them working their way down this narrower and narrower funnel towards the ideal outcome. And when we might skip to the third phase, because you'll remember what that is.
Optimization.
Nailed it. Another name, plenty that you could throw in there.
Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Self-management.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's another word.
Probably throw in maintenance.
Yeah.
What's another one? That'll do for now.
Yeah.
Optimization phase. So this funnel's getting narrower and it's getting squeezier, and it's harder for everyone to get all the way down there. And there is, in fact, in this framework of thinking, a whole stack of leaky holes
Yes.
that can result in people dropping off and not achieving their ideal outcome. So again, it's a framework to help us think about the journey that patients go through. There are business things that we can do, which we talked about last week, to help the overall experience, the nurturing side of things from a business perspective. But then there's also clinical things that we can do to help them successfully navigate their way through that journey towards an ideal outcome. So let's brainstorm things that could potentially result on people jumping into the funnel. All good intentions, but somewhere along the way, falling out or slipping out or seeping out the leaky holes.
And more like clinical focused or
Yeah, any I think. Just throw any in the mix. So I'll throw one in the moved location. So it's a classic one that we have very little control over, but there's one.
finance, affordability,
Yep. Cash.
work commitments.
So logistics, I suppose, in terms of timing of appointments. Yeah. Well, or travel, I'll put in the mix with that. Anything else?
Just commitments like holidays, going away. If they're like not achieving those early goals, just don't have the rapport, you're not achieving the right goals that you've set for the short term, then they might go somewhere else or try another profession.
Yeah, let's dive a bit deeper with that one.
Yeah.
So, the clinician-patient relationship. So I might bring up that stat that we dropped a few weeks back with perceived indifference. And 68% of people stop using a service for that reason. So a big one, and it's really hard to judge.
Is that like in the clinical space or just any service?
It's any service, yeah.
Right.
So I think it's a really hard one to judge. I know that that there's been times for me where I felt like I've really communicated that I care, that I'm fully on board with getting someone this ideal outcome, but it hasn't been received. So I think it's an area that you really kind of got to go sometimes above and beyond in to really make sure that message is received, that you care, that you're getting them successfully through this is the most important thing. So can't harp on enough probably about beware the perceived indifference. Definitely not something I've seen that's a threat necessarily with you, but I think we all need to just be constantly aware of it. Any others in that space?
Just in rapport, like some people want to come in and just take it seriously, and if I'm sort of trying to be happy and them have a good time, they might want to go somewhere where they're going to be more cut to the chase, get me better. I don't want to be your mate, or the other way around.
Same wavelength, we'll call it.
Yep.
So meeting them where they're at.
Yep.
Which is hard for us because we've got our own personalities.
Yeah.
But really, it's on us to try and. I think you said it well the other day.
Like adapting to their personality or mirroring them a bit.
Yeah. I can't remember what you said, but you said it really well the other day. We'll go with meeting them where they're at, so rising to their energy levels or vice versa. staying calm if they're calm.
Yeah.
That's great. Helps with that rapport and connection.
Yeah.
Any others to help plug these leaking holes in the funnel of love?
The actual like treatment and clinical outcome you're getting.
Yep. Effective treatment. So we're sort of going, what are we going, reasons for them leaving, so I probably should say ineffective,
Yeah.
but I'll go effectiveness of treatment.
Yeah.
If they're not getting outcomes pretty early, so they're getting those quick wins on the board.
Yeah.
So I think we'll do reasons for them falling out and then ways that we can plug it afterwards.
Right.
So I think a couple of others that are common in this space would be potential lack of appreciation that these are actually really hard to come by. So you have to respect that to actually facilitate that process with someone, hold their hand and nurture them through it, is a massive achievement for both the patient and you as the guiding therapist. And if that's your goal, and that's their goal, it's hard work. And I think it needs to be appreciated that there's a fair chunk involved in getting even a small percent of the overall pool of people that join us, getting a percentage of people down into this ideal outcome is worth appreciating as a huge achievement. So that can be a barrier sometimes.
Yeah.
Potentially overconfidence in how much patients pick up from your communication, which probably ties into that a little bit. Again, this is not general speak. I'm not targeting you at all. But when I went through this, learning these things, it really set off little light bulbs randomly. So I'm just going through this in its entirety with you. So not overconfidence in communication, and that's a nod really to the fact that %, forgotten.
Yeah.
And of the 20% remembered, half is misinterpreted. So
so they got 10%.
So they've really got 10% right, and they've got a little bit that they've taken with them that's probably inaccurate anyway. These are rough figures and frameworks to think about things, but and there's going to be variance from everyone. Everyone has different styles of communication and ultimately different effectiveness stats, but these are fairly broad and general terms. So if we do take that into account, if we don't take that into account, then you can be complacent or a bit overconfident, or make assumptions that they've actually taken everything that has taken you years and years and years and years to become clear within your head. It's easy to think that they're going to take it from your half-hour consult and run with it effectively.
That probably ties into me going probably be right for 2 weeks, and they're going to nail these exercises for 2 weeks. Then I can just catch up with them.
Yeah.
But in reality, they're probably going to need more guidance to actually get it right.
Yeah. So you can almost look at those long drawn out gaps between those early appointments as being almost like there's a lack of due diligence in that. A due diligence approach would be to making sure that they've taken more than that, as much as they need to start the journey effectively. Let's pause on that because we'll get to plugging the holes, which you just kind of answered there a bit. What about, I guess there needs to be some level of concern, I suppose, in the real possibility that these people that you're working with in this phase aren't going to make it. So if there's not a concern there, it's not a negative place to be. It's you still have an optimistic outlook, but there needs to be some level of concern that we could lose an ideal outcome opportunity here. So due diligence following it through. I reckon that sort of covers some of the reasons why people would drop out. You know, throw any more into the hat.
They generally cover a lot of them.
Yeah.
And a bunch of them are sort of those ones a bit out of our control at the top there.
Yeah, so let's asterisk the ones that we really can't do jack about. We could potentially help there. Like if we find that out, we want to be accessible so we can. That might be a reason why we do stagger appointments and have other ways to communicate. So some emails or calls to make ourselves a bit more accessible, but also not a heap we can do there. Work commitments, these things, they're in the out of our control category. Really, we're focusing more on the ones that we can control. So for things like making sure we appreciate how big it is to get someone an ideal outcome, that's just flipping that and making sure that we do have that. Rapport, establishing that rapport. So apart from generally saying reversing that statistic, what are some strategies to help with rapport and making sure that they're not perceiving us as being indifferent?
Getting on a personal level with them. Like to do with the problem managed just with them as a person.
Yep. Come on, Pen. I love some of your management plans coming through that you're really personalising it.
Yeah.
Obviously written just for them, mentioning a few of their names of kids I think you've had in there, and it's awesome. Personal level, and probably on the same as that might be emotional ties. So in your goal setting, and in that early stage of the relationship that you're forming, you're picking up on the things that are most emotionally significant to them in terms of what they're wanting to get back to, and then bringing it all back to those, we'll call them pain points, helps them to stay on board and keep working with you. Another emotional tie might just be things that you have shared experiences with the patient. So as you're just generally chatting with them, as human to human, you might just feel happy to disclose things about you that are related to them, and you're building that rapport. Any other things you could think of?
A Ben Crowe senior one is be interested, not interesting.
Of course, man. What was it?
Be interested, not interesting. So,
Oh.
yeah, it's
You
a
heard it.
conversation.
You heard it here first.
Ben Crowe,
Interested.
don't be worried about yourself and how you're coming across and putting on the show for them, but just genuinely be interested in what you're asking them, and listening to the answers that they give you, because you're actually interested in what they have to say.
Yeah. That's
Which-
good.
Probably comes with being vulnerable enough to say things like, what does that mean? Or like, tell me more about this, when you don't know what they're talking about.
Tell me more.
Tell me more about the problem, but about their life and them as well.
Dig deeper. Yeah. Love that. Yeah, that's great. Which links into the early chats we had with slowing down and getting the full picture and not being a rush to get to that place. So dig. That's
Yeah.
good. Anything else?
I think that's pretty good. I'm starting to think, go down that Ben Crowe wavelength, all those sort of things.
How do we create space? How do we create enough space for this? How do we create enough space to build that emotional connection, to build that rapport? What do we do to avoid missing out on these opportunities?
Probably the biggest one is just having the time available, which is great that we've got the slightly longer initial appointments to just have that first sort of write off 5 minutes at the start, just to not even look for information, but just have a chat.
Yeah.
And when you're doing treatment on someone, hands on, that's the other time where most of us probably just start to go into that and just ask about their life
Yeah.
while you're doing a treatment.
Yeah. So yeah. I'll take from that. I think physical touch can be extremely powerful as a treatment tool, of course, but as also for building that connection. That physical, but also emotional connection, rapport.
Yeah.
And yep, longer initial.
Physical touch when you're assessing as well.
Yeah.
Like looking at their spinal flexion, just sort of touching their back sometimes to do that, or when they're arching back.
You can break the ice before you do more extensive physical touch treatment. Physical touch, that's great.
Yeah.
Just front load as well. I think this is just to tick this box effectively. It's pretty hard to do it in 45 minutes. Really 45 minutes, that first 45 minutes is just up here, right? So if we want to avoid this hole, and we're seeing them 2 weeks after the first appointment, the risk is super high that they're going to chat to their friends over the next 2 weeks, who throw all sorts of random ideas at them about, oh, you're doing that, why are you doing that, oh, isn't it working yet? And I've seen Joe Blow down the road, give him a shot, he'll point you in the right direction. Versus if you see them the next appointment 3-4 days later, and you've had a whole nother opportunity to establish that relationship, that human to human relationship, that trust building, that overall rapport, this risk diminishes significantly. So I know we talked about a fair bit, but front loading and doing it from a place of a genuine place of this in mind, and this is the holy grail at the end, and reducing your risk of not getting to that place. What else? Nurturing. So I think we've talked a fair bit about that, but worth putting on there different types of nurturing. Again, just throw some at me.
Follow up call.
Yeah.
Follow up emails.
Next day call, and it's really just a courtesy check-in.
Yeah.
Email, especially if appointments do start to extend out, you can schedule an email midway. Anything else?
I've said to a few people when I've got that longer thing between appointments, like just call us as well. I probably won't pick up the phone, but they'll come and tell me to give you a call just to let them know that you're reachable.
Yep.
If they need.
I think probably an obvious one that we haven't thrown in there that we're doing really well at the moment is management plans.
Yeah.
So written, clear communication of a roadmap towards recovery. Super powerful. Probably goes without saying, but management plans. And what else have we got in here? Yeah, clear communication and having humility again around this. Humility in what we can communicate in one session. Giving it your darndest, giving it your best shot to get as much across as you can. Realistically get across. Talking at 1,000,000 miles an hour and all of it getting lost. But having humility in what you expect is going to be taken in, so that you don't get too overconfident and say, she'll be right. I think we'll blacklist the she'll be right. Great. And I think if we do this well, it's a win-win, because clients get better outcomes and they hopefully exceed expectations. They might have come in literally just to get out of pain, and they thought that's what they were here for, but we've enlightened them, we've shown them that we can potentially offer a lot more than that, and we've got them all the way down. The win-win side of it helps you develop your caseload, loads more scope for earning potential, and it's heaps more rewarding. It's exponentially more rewarding as a physio to each layer of, or each depth of this funnel that we navigate people through becomes exponentially more rewarding. Phase 1. Oops. Let's reverse that chart. Phase 1, 2, 3. Reward scale gets higher and higher. You know that from your experiences already. But you're constantly just seeing people in here, you'll get to 2 years, 3 years into your career, and it gets pretty dry. It's pretty.
Yeah.
So is this all there is? But the relationships get deeper, the outcomes get so much more meaningful, and you'll be in the game for a lot longer if you get your head around that whole concept. questions? Well, things to add? Thoughts?
Yeah, so a lot of what we've done so far is probably that sort of early stages of the funnel. Not as much detail as we've gone through, probably like the second half of it, maybe.
When we've been talking about our own like shoots on management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all like the sort of front loading
Yeah.
phase and building rapport at the start.
Yeah.
A lot of that, well, a lot of this probably is in that first phases anyway, and once they go down the funnel, it actually gets a bit easier for you to get on a roll.
To a degree, yes, but I think big reason for us, most of our conversations being in this space is you've only been here for a month.
Yeah, sure.
So
None of them are in phase 2 anymore.
So that's a big part of it, and it's the most important part to get right. It's the biggest cohort of patients that you have will in early career or when you're starting at a new place, they're all going to be in this space, and then as time goes on, if you work in the same area for a while, you'll get more and more people that have successfully navigated their way, and you might be seeing them every couple of months or something whilst they're in this optimization phase as their coach.
And your funnel will go from that to like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. For that reason, and again for that reason that a lot of people will be coming from this end of the referral base.
Oh yeah.
Where the buy-in is much greater, which also helps to widen the bottom of that funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got that, they're coming with a level of trust already. They know that their friends and their friends' friends have been helped by you significantly, so they're like, let's do it, I'm on board.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, we'll talk more and more over the shoots over the coming weeks and months about optimization and growth, and as you get more patients into this part of the journey, it'll become more relevant. An obvious one, I think, for like a pathway, a really standardized pathway that we use is CEG is a great tool to help with this growth rebuilding phase, clinical exercise groups. Sorry. Fizzy fit. And then KLT is a really good tool, I think, for that person that doesn't do any strength resistance training that wants to incorporate that, and really anyone over 35, 40 especially should be incorporating that into their life. KLT is such a great tool for time efficiency, to be teaching them to help get them into that stage of optimization and extend your relationship with them a bit further. Might cut the video there, but we can keep chatting about it. It worked good.